Curses of Scale by S. D. Reeves. Chapter 1. Pinched. A sliver of light skirts past root and trunk, occasionally peering skyward through the canopy of leaves that gives the gray forest its name. The light shakes and freezes. 2 fingers trail along the face of a boulder. Snow? Caleb mouths silently. Autumn clashes with summer, rumbles through the rock in his hand. Chords, he reluctantly admits. I'm going to be deep in it. Over a log, under a branch, metal scrapes against glass while the lantern swings and exposes more than just the fire-thinned brush. Caleb hesitates at the edge of a small field. The squeaking of the lantern's chain becomes quieter, with every lost moment winding down like a badly oiled clock. Were they in the trees on his left? Closer than that, he realizes, as the shadow of leaves fly around him. Something glints, just off to his right. There's no time. Caleb slides into the dirt and swings his lantern in an arc. The dagger glances off the glass, but still shatters the silence. So that's the right. Light reveals her, small, no more than 10 hands high. One long dagger shifts between hands while she circles in step with the flicker of the lantern. And the left? 4. 6. The woodsman's eyes narrow. 8. The second hunter's shocked expression as the lantern hits him sprays the forest, reflected in shards of glass. The lantern's metal frame, now bloody from the crash, clatters to the ground, and Caleb has only a second to turn and find the first attacker lunging. Her dagger slices into his leather jerkin, but a quick white hand striking against the small hunter's arm drops her blade into his palm. He exhales. 9. Caleb growls into her hood. She tries to scream. But as her body falls to the ground, a different sort of count rattles him. Galen Seas. The words of power extinguish the fire from the spilt oil. 2 lives, Oberon. All this for a piece of bark. You better keep your end of the bargain. Kalen's face cringes as the trickster's answer rattles the inside of his head. You think that's bad? You should watch your dance number. Terrible choreography. Flaw number 1 in his plan, Caleb now realizes, was never considering where the fairy might wait until the ritual was complete. Flaw 2 was faith in Oberon's sanity. Squatters are generally an annoying lot, even more so when they are disembodied lunatics who lounge around the inside of your head. Only completing the ritual and bringing the fairy into the world would evict him. Kalis and Grayton. Click and clatter of insects fill the air at the utterance of Kalen's spell, and his left hand comes alive with twinkling lights. Your magic didn't work, Faye. Their dogs' noses smelled right through the illusion, and now I have to slum through town as a murderer. Pickles! The fairy's voice wings, making it nearly impossible for Caleb to think straight. You want pickles? Pickles. Caleb rubs the joints of his right hand. Unless he can beat the Lord Duke's agents there, he's in trouble. His wife was right. This is getting costly. But Oberon's voice tramples all over his thoughts. Didn't you once say that any price would be too cheap? Nienna, Caleb whispers. Yes, I did. His gaze moves past the smoke, turns from the bodies, and slips out to the wild. The rest of him soon follows. The stars are the first to join, and they help lead him through the old forest into a craggy field that clings to the edge of a cliff. Caleb kneels and drinks from a patch of moss that caught the yesterday's rain. A feeling of doubt squeezes his stomach. It had been with him for nearly 2 weeks now, since he left Nienna behind to raid the Lord Duke's castle. If only she could see things as clearly as him, now was the time to be bold. The water is cool and crisp. It helps to ease his fear. Dull light forces him to squint. Near the moss is a fallen marker, a waystone. Caleb searches his memory. There must have been a road here once. He reaches out to touch the surface of the ancient rock with something akin to reverence, and runs his fingers gently over the crumbling runes and arrows chiseled into its face. He can feel the old songs here. They dance to the music of an approaching spring, but it is still winter. The presence of the wind pushing and filling his hair hushes him. Going to have to climb down now, Caleb says nervously at the edge. Below him rise the pointed ends of pines, arrayed like spears over the hills. There is a steep drop whose end is hidden below the forest canopy. His hand feels into a wax tube, withdraws from it a crinkled piece of parchment. Fireflies from his earlier summon smack and cling to the paper as he holds it aloft, causing obscene shadows to flit between markers of old roads, buildings, and the river drawn on the map. A cautious smile crosses his lips. It won't exactly be the easiest time, but there is a way to the town from here. Laughter. Oberon is back.
Don't tell me you fear heights.
Caleb snarls. Do you want to help?
Shut the cords up. How would that be funny? And on another matter, you better be nicer to me. Your wife is worm-spun, Caleb. You need me way more than I need you.
Like an
arrow!
The elf shot slices across the leather of his shoulder, and Caleb drops to the ground instinctively. More arrows fly just overhead, raining down from the forest behind him. Damn this all, he screams and clutches his head. The fireflies from his spell crawl on the glass and wildflowers that lay upon the cliff, shining through the petals of a rare mountain flower.
They really, really don't like you, do they?
His hand trembles as he reaches over the edge. Caleb doesn't want to admit it, but he hates heights. Being shot at doesn't make it any better.
I wonder why. Can't have anything to do with the being robbed part. Harumph! Are you sure there isn't a better way down?
But Caleb's attention is elsewhere. Dirt and shale crumble between his fingertips, throwing dust into the air and filling his nose with an earthy scent. He clings to the cliff's edge, relying on cracks in the rock to wedge his feet, while his other hand seeks a hold further down. The fireflies hinder more than help, illuminating the rock face, but also at times blinding his eyes. Sweat drips from his forehead and wells up in his mustache and beard. Caleb licks his lips, eyeing a deep fissure below. It's at an angle, if I can just... His feet find purchase in the crumbling shale. There, just a little more. The cold stone presses so firmly against his face that he can hear his own terrified heart echo. With his soft sole shoes meshed against the sheer mountainside, Caleb takes one quick breath and starts to drop down the crevice in steady bursts.
Those hunters aren't following, so you know.
Oberon's words slowly filling his head. Thank the courts.
They're going around. For a former druid, you aren't very observant, are you? How old do you think that waystone was? Older than the mountain? They're taking the path down that you missed.
Shit. He wanted a stronger curse. Why didn't you mention that?
You're the one with the map.
Caleb groans and presses his head against a weed. The cliff runs a long way along the west-east rift. That will take them time. I just need to find my way around this. Oberon, give me something I can use.
You know what helps me think? Pickles! Did you know that pickles have been around a long, long time? Not just cucumbers, and people have made pickles out of all sorts of things since, well, quite since near the beginning. Of course, I'm being facetious. I doubt the gods created pickles, for they created the folk and the fields and the mountains. Or did they? Oh, I bet they did. That would explain how amazing they are.
Bits of root dug up in frustration fall into the darkness. Pleading with the Fae would serve no purpose. Focus. Caitlin's thoughts press inwards. Slowly the buzz of the old fairy's voice disappears until it is little more than a ringing. His smile returns with a respite. Clouds flail above as a firefly slips into the cliff face, its light fading into the earth. Before long, the stars will fall before the cover of an approaching storm. Caleb knew this was coming, as he felt the air shift earlier. The warm southern thundercloud had hit the wall of cold nestled in this vale. It will make for a rough night, one which he cannot afford to pass pinched above the forest veil. Luckily, he has already cleared more than 100 feet of the cliff. Caleb's boots slip. Icy rain that had seemed so distant before now begins to find its way down to him. The cold stings, needles. His grip weakens. Be careful. The memory of Niana's last words to him repeat in his head. I've done dumber things, Caleb muses, straining to keep his back up. The stone is now very slick, and the stars recede fast. A shake of his head admits the plain truth. No, I haven't. The wind sweeps by. Cloud speaks to cloud through cracks of lightning. It is during one of these brief flashes that he sees his goal, a lone cleft, jutting out from the mountain below. 30, maybe 40 feet straight down, there is a landing. Caleb bends for a hold, and immediately he knows something is wrong. Shale breaks underneath his foot, throwing his left leg away from the cliff face. The force shakes him from his perch and sends him tumbling down and away. Terrible cold air whips around him in the black. It is his back, already cut and torn by the crevice edge, that meets the cleft first. The shock of hitting the landing steals the air from his lungs. He paws at the slick slate crevice. His fingers peel against the grooves, and he pulls himself up and onto the ledge. Niana. His hand reaches up towards nothing, exhausted. It will snow.